Peace and blessings, family. My name is Jay, and today I'm going to talk to you guys today about the signs of the Zodiac once more. In the last video, we did Libra, or you could also say, if you know astrology, you'd also say the seventh house. And now we're going to move on to the sign Scorpio. Or, once again, if you know the houses, you can also say the eighth house. And so, get right into it. What is Scorpio? It's a water sign, more specifically, a fixed water sign. So, in previous videos, we already explained what the elements and the modalities are about. So when Scorpio is fixed water, like I said earlier, so it's a sign that's fixated on its own way of, feeling about things in a nutshell without getting too specific. Now, getting into the body parts that Scorpio rules. Scorpio, for the most part, rules the sex organs in the bladder, which explains why Scorpios can be either very sexual people or very sexually attracting people. Take it however you want to. And then going into the planetary, getting into the planetary rulers of Scorpio, because Scorpio has two rulers. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and we know Mars deals with our sex drive, our aggressiveness, our basic survival instincts, and our courage, fertility. Basically anything that can fall under the label, basically anything that falls under masculinity, which is really nothing more than another way of just saying, life, like life source. But anyway, the other planet that rules Scorpio is Pluto. And when you think about Pluto is like Mars, but on a much more deep and darker end, on a much more powerful scale. And Pluto in astrology deals with it deals with the deep, and the deep means things. It deals with the subconscious. It is a planet that deals with. It is also another planet that deals with like the feelings and emotions in the past, and so. But it's also a planet that, another thing to add about Pluto, it's also a planet that deals with a lot of intensity, and then it deals with death and rebirth, which is nothing more than transformation, which leads to regeneration. And then it also, since it's like another side of Mars, Mars represents sex drive. It's another planet that it's also another planet that deals with desires and passions. In a nutshell, but since it's like Mars on a grander scale, on a much darker scale, it goes much more deep, and it's much more passionate, much more powerful, that much more serious and intense. And then knowing this little bit of information, you can kind of see. It kind of explains to you why Scorpios can be very powerful and controlling, very very domineering, and very passionate about whatever it is that they are into, or whomever it is that they may be into, even if it may be themselves. But anyway, staying onto the topic at hand. And then we'll get to the transformation part and intensity later. I want to talk about the house now, which will also verify Scorpio's intensity and sexual nature, dark nature. It's very passionate nature. How you take it, how you want it. And so, the eighth house is the house of the secrets. It deals with things that are hidden beneath the surface, things that are taboo and don't like to be talked about. It deals with death and deals with death and transformation, which is a regeneration, rebirth again. It also deals with taxes and the occult, that which is hidden. And I think it also deals with banking. I think it also deals with banking too. Oh, and since it's opposite Taurus, and then since all the planets after the sixth planet, all the signs after the sixth planet, which is Virgo, they deal with that outside of yourself. And since Taurus is opposing since Scorpio opposes Taurus, which deals with our resources, this lets you know that Scorpio, as far as the house is concerned, eighth house deals with other people's resources, shared resources, and values. So that's another thing too. But that'll be for pertaining to the houses. But yeah, when I explain that, you can see and explain adding this with the house and the plants, you can start to see more of why the sign is so powerful and so dark and secretive at times, whether conscious or whether the scorpionic person is conscious about it or unconscious. It's going to play out like this regardless. What's conscious is just more controlled and it's more reserved and practical and rational and all that. Unconscious is more irrational, but once again, I digress. And so, where do I want to continue from here? We were talking about intensity and depth and transformation and all that earlier, and deep desires and motivations and willpower and all that. So now we correlate to correlating to the Scorpio. Again, we know Scorpio is a water sign, and since these planets represent Scorpio's energy, and we know, and like I said, Scorpio is water, which deals with the feelings. This lets you know that this is how Scorpio's feelings are, regardless of whether it's sun or moon, but especially if it's moon, because moon is what deals with the feelings and emotions, as stated earlier in the Cancer video. But anyway, and moon deals with the water element, which is another thing. So what you get is people whose emotional state is not only fixated on how they see it and feel about it, but also goes very deep and it's very intense. Because it's intense, it brings a lot of instability, ups and downs. And we know instability and ups and downs can once again be it can be translated to like life and death. And life and death is nothing more than transformation, regeneration, or rebirth once again. So these people's if it's the sun, these people's actions can go through a lot of ups and downs, be very unstable and very intense. Go through their actions can go through a lot of death and rebirth, a lot of changes, because that's the energy that the sign carries. If it's the moon, that's what their feelings go through. But since it's a water sign, regardless, and deals with the feelings regardless of whether it's sun or moon, they're which since it's a water sign deals with the feelings, that's what their feelings are going to go through. Regardless, going to go through a lot of deep experiences, in regards to their desires and passions, their power, whatever it may be. And that's why these, and then, explaining all this, you can, with all this explained, you can kind of see why this is like one of the most, knowing that about the sign, you can see why these people tend to be very secretive, and it's not because they may be passive or cowards like society may try to throw onto them, but because they on a deeper level or on a higher level, how you like to look at it, they know how energy, they know how energy works. They go through the up and down, and trials and tribulations every day, whether it's with their actions or feelings. And so when we know that this is a sign that deals with like transformation, instability a lot, in a nutshell, how could this be neutralized? By finding ways to, bring, stability, to bring stability to their, emotional around their feeling, their emotions and feelings. And what better sign, and then not this, and bringing instability to stability, bringing instability to stability brings balance. And like I say, every sign can always help. Every opposing sign can always help the sign that's opposing it balance out their energy. And so, with saying that, you already know where it's going. What sign would be? What sign could help? What sign? How am I trying to say this? But the sign that would help Scorpio out the best, obviously, is the opposing sign, which deals with stability the most, which is Taurus, which is an earth sign, which deals with practicality and stability and security by default. Scorpios look for like emotional security and security within their own feelings. So knowing that, because they're they look for that security because of the instability and the intensity that they go through on in one way or another. Like what sign would be better for that than Taurus? A sign that deals with stability, and it's also a fixed sign, so it's fixated on stability. And we explained Taurus video how Taurus has trouble letting go of what it is that they, and fixed signs in general have trouble letting go of whatever it is that they're fixated on. But since Taurus does it physically, once whatever Taurus is fixated on physically, once that's gone, it's hard for them to let that go. It's the opposite with Scorpio. When Scorpio has feelings towards something or someone, emotionally, when that person, when that person puts a thing does something to them emotionally, they're going to feel a certain way about that, and it's going to be hard for them to let that feeling go because once we explained earlier, it goes deep with Scorpio in particular. And so what both here have to deal with and understand, because they're both fixed signs, is letting go. But since and then explaining it again, like I explained in like the the Cancer Capricorn video, Virgo Pisces video. Water likes to go with the flow regardless of which sign it's in, and ultimately that's what Taurus is going to teach. Scorpio is going to teach Taurus how to go with the flow and accept changes and to let go. And then naturally, since Scorpio's water sign is mutable because of the element that it's in by default. And another thing I want to add is that when you think about it, the elements you can also look at certain, and it's just like an idea I had or something I thought of. You can think of certain. You can also apply certain elements to certain modalities, and how you look at air and water as the mutable element, earth is the fixed, and then fire is the cardinal, in my opinion. But anyway, back to that. Scorpio is going to teach Taurus how to let go of its emotional attachment to physical things. And then Taurus is going to teach Scorpio how to, become more stable with their emotions, and, to bring stability to that instability, to bring that balance. The opposites always create balance regardless of which signs they are. And yeah, that's going to be my take on the sign Scorpio, the Scorpion. And if you liked it, that is awesome. If there's anything that you want to share, add to it, constructively criticize, give feedback on, that is also appreciated, and that's also cool because that also helped me get better at what it is that this passion that I like doing. And with that being said, I'm going to get out of here, you guys. You guys have a good afternoon. I love y'all. Peace.